Hi, sixth graders. Well, here's a little cameo appearance by Munchie Mouse. He's hanging out with me today. So you get to see him. Why not? All right, so we're going to talk about what we've been learning, just kind of as a quick review over everything, because I know I haven't been there. And hopefully I am there soon. So we are going to talk about changing percent to decimal, decimal to percent, percent to fraction, fraction to, okay? So we're going to go through all of that right now. So if you change a percent to a decimal, okay, what you are doing, so let's say I've got 53%. If I want to change that to a decimal, I move my decimal 2 places to the left, and I drop the percent symbol. And I'll tell you why. D-R-O-P. Because literally what this means is 53. Percent means divided by 100. That's what percent means. It means 53 out of 100 or 53 divided by 100. So if I need to get rid of the percent symbol, I need to divide by 100. Moving a decimal one time. So decimal is always at the end of a number if it's not in there, okay? So moving it one time tells me that I divided by 10. Moving it 2 times tells me I divide by 100. So it would be 0 and 53 hundredths, okay? The reason I'm moving it left is because I'm accommodating the percent symbol. I'm getting rid of it, so I want to divide by 100. This means 53 divided by 100. This is 53 divided by 100, okay? So that's when you change a percent to a decimal. Those are the steps. It is the opposite steps when you change a decimal to a percent. You move the decimal 2 places to the right because you're multiplying by 100. Decimal 2%, forgot what I was writing. Okay, so I move the decimal 2 places right. Right. Okay, and I add the percent symbol. That's why I can move the decimal. So if I have this decimal, so let's say I've got the decimal 7.25, and I want to change it to a percent. It's always 2 places. I don't care what your number is. I go 1, 2 places, which gives me 725, and then I add the percent symbol because it's saying 725% or 725 out of 100. This is 725 out of 100 or divided by 100, okay? So that's the easiest way to remember it. All right, if I am changing a fraction to a percent, let's change a percent to a fraction first. To fraction. All right, so let's say I've got 15%, okay? We're using the same thinking that literally means 15 divided by 100, which I can write as 15 divided by 100. And then I would just put that in lowest terms because it's not in lowest terms right now because 5 goes into both of these. So if I divide by 5, I would get 3 over 20. Okay, so that's how I change a percent to 100. I put it over 100. And then I simplify the fraction, okay? So you put it 1 over 100. Simplify the fraction. Okay, so that one's pretty easy. You just put it over 100 and you simplify it. Sometimes when you have decimals, which we won't have right now, when you get like a 15.2% and you want to change it, it's a little bit harder when you get to the reducing part, but that's exactly what you would do, okay? All right, now, if I want to change a fraction to a percent, it's a little bit different. Maybe say here. So let's say I've got, what do I have? 2 9s. And I want to change it to a percent. Set up a proportion. remember that's two equal ratios. So I would say 2 over 9 is equal to whatever my percent is over 100, okay? And then I would solve that proportion. So anytime I want to change a fraction, stuff's getting stuck here, to a percent, I want to set up a proportion and then solve for x. Here's how you would, okay, so here's how I would do that. I would do cross multiplying 2 times 100. I always multiply the numbers that are across from each other, and I'm going to divide by the one that's across from x. So put a little step in here, multiply diagonal numbers divide by the number across from x. I'll say diagonal by x. So I would get 200 divided by 9, or I'd say 9 goes into 200. So I have 200 divided by 9 is what I'm doing. Oops, that's a 9, not a 2. So I'd say 9 goes into 20 twice. 2 times 9 is 18. Looks like I'm never repeating. Bring down my 0. It's always going to be 20. 9 goes in there 2 times. 2 times 9 is 18. I get a 2, and you're going to see I have to at least have one decimal place. 9 goes into 20 2 times. 2 times 9 is 18. So it would actually be 22.2 repeating percent. Okay? So that's how I'm going to change all of those among each other. If I just had a fraction and I wanted to change it to a decimal, I just divide the numbers out. Okay? So I could have done that too. I could have done 2 divided by 9, got my decimal, and then changed my decimal to a percent. But I think this way is a little bit easier. All right, so let's do some. All right, so we're going to say fraction, decimal, percent. Fraction, decimal, percent. And I'm going to put some in here. So let's say we know the fraction is, what do we think the fraction is? 5/8. Okay, so if I want to change 5/8 to a decimal, I would just divide it out. So I would do 5 divided by 8. 8 doesn't go into 5, so I got to add a 0. And I'm going to put my decimal in and add as many zeros along here as I need. 8 goes into 50. 6 times 8 is 48. Subtract, I get 2. I'm going to add another decimal. Or bring down another 0. 8 goes into 20 twice. 2 times 8 is 16. I get 4, almost there. 8 goes into 40 5 times. 5 times 8 is 40. So my decimal would be 0.625. That means my percent, I'm going to take my decimal and move it 2 places. It would be 62.5%. Okay? All right, let's try one where we know the decimal. All right, let's say we have a decimal of 0.78. Okay? And I'm going to, so the percent should be really easy. This part should be really easy because all I got to do is move that decimal 2 places and I would get 78%. Okay, so that part was really easy. Now, the fraction I would have to do is 78% or 78 out of 100. I would just have to put that in lowest terms. I know 2 goes into it. I don't know if anything else does, so I think 4 does. 4 goes in there, maybe not. Let's divide by 2. 78 divided by 2 is, 2 goes in there, 3. 39 over 50. That is in lowest terms, so 0.78 is 39 over 50. All right, let's try a percent, and we're going to change it to a decimal. So let's do a percent of, let's do a decimal. Live dangerously. All right, so if I want to change that to a decimal without the percent sign, I'm going to move it 2 places left, so I would get 0.155. Okay. Now, here's the harder part. When I want to change this to
a fraction. What I really want to do is, rather than put this over 100, is just read this how it goes. This is 0 and 155 thousandths. So to save myself some effort, I'm going to take the decimal and just say it like, write it like you say it. This would be 155 tens, hundredths, thousandths. So 155 over 1,000. And then I would put that in lowest terms. Well, I know for sure 5 goes into lowest terms, so let's try 5. 5 goes into 155, or 5 goes into 1531 times. Over 5 goes in here 200. I'm pretty sure that's in lowest terms. Okay, so sometimes I've got to go between the two. But what I did here is, when I have a decimal, when I have a decimal in my percent, I'm going to write it as a decimal first, and I'm literally going to write it like I should say it. Like the proper way to say it, not 0.155, but 155 thousandths. Okay. All right, so that's kind of a quick review on what we've been doing, is changing fractions of decimals to percents, and then we're going to be working with proportions in solving percents. So get ready. I like percents, they're kind of fun. I will talk to you guys soon.